Roland sipped down his beer for the last time. He finished and soon staggered home. It was a full moon that night. The lamppost lit the cobblestone street, and a lone horse and buggy wheeled by him. Somewhere along the way, Roland stopped and puked, supporting himself with the red brick wall, and he then resumed his journey, kept on until he gripped the wall again. It was at that point he saw someone standing before him from a distance. He could see it was a man, tall middle-aged man, wearing a long coat, a top hat on his head, mustache, and maybe sideburns. Roland laughed. "Drunk too much, I guess," he said to himself. He rubbed his eyes and the man was not there anymore. The dwelling in which the man lived was small but simple. Roland steadied himself on the wooden bed inside. He faced the tattered black and white portrait sat on the stand next to it, his young wife. "I'm sorry, Lizzie," Roland said, tears streaming down his cheek. "I don't know if I can go on." After a time proceeded to wash his face with the water from a bucket and noticed his fiddle. It was missing a few strings, the color almost gone. Roland walked over clumsily and touched it. "Remember I used to play this for you before the war?" He smiled at that thought. Just as he turned around, there was a knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Roland answered. He saw no one there, only a small parcel. Tacked on the parcel was a note. He read it. "This will bring you peace." Roland frowned and looked around. After all, it was now very late at night. The man thought and thought, then relented. He took the parcel in. Coming to his bed, Roland put the parcel next to his shovel, leaning against the wall. The oil lamp still glowed. The man said, "Till tomorrow, I'll open it." A few hours went by, maybe more. Roland tossed and turned. Finally, he gazed at the parcel for 10 minutes. Afterward, he got up, and though he rubbed his head, he checked it. Under a new firelight, he pressed his calloused fingers along the brown paper wrap. He tore it open. Inside the box lay a wooden flute. Again, Roland read the note to himself. "This will bring you peace." Roland chuckled. Music is beautiful. With practiced hands in mind, he played the flute. A sweet melody. Time passed, and Roland shivered. He suddenly woke and gasped. Someone was standing at his bedside. It was the mysterious man he had encountered earlier. A smile crossed the man's face, and Roland pressed his back against the wall. "Come the morning, Mr. Tyler," the landlord said. "I need to collect your rent." No answer. Again, the landlord banged on the door. After forcing himself in, he stopped. In Roland's bed was a pile of bones. Human bones. It was 2018, and we lived in this house for quite a while. I was always skeptical of the house. I felt like there was something else there. Now, of course, there would be few occurrences where I thought there was some paranormal activity, but it was very minor and could be easily debunked as someone else that's more reasonable. This house had 2 stories, and on the second floor, you could easily hear when someone is walking due to it being, well, the second floor, of course. My room was on the second floor. But there was one night that I never forgotten. This night confirmed that I was just not paranoid. It was very late at night. I can't recall what time, but it was definitely past 2:30 a.m. I was turned, facing towards the wall, while half asleep, when all of a sudden, I felt something run across my floor, up into the corner of my mattress, and back onto the floor, into my closet. I turned around only to see where my clothing hangers in my closet were swaying if something had brushed up against them. Keep in mind that my closet wasn't very, deep. There was no way you could hide in it. When I heard it running, it felt like it had 4 legs. I did, however, have a dog. The weight and I felt when it come up to my bed felt that it was a mid-sized dog, but my dog was downstairs in his kennel. A few nights after that, I woke up to my door slamming shut. Is it a poltergeist? If anyone has answers, I'm all ears. Years later, and I still think about it. I never saw what it looked like. I never knew what it was. I no longer live in that house. My husband was the kindest man you'll ever meet. He would never leave people behind, nor would he mock them. He loved life. He loved smiling. My Eddie. I'm not saying he's a saint. We're imperfect, right? That man had a secret. Although we never hid anything from each other, at least the important stuff, I swore to him I'd never tell anyone many times. Eddie wouldn't budge. He told me he didn't want to tell me because it had something to do with his childhood. He hated that I kept mentioning it. I remember thinking, was he abused? Was he traumatized by some event? I couldn't help it, wondering what it could be, night and day, working, not working. Some nights, Eddie worked late, and I just lay there in bed. Sometimes I wasted time rewatching Breaking Bad, History Vikings, and playing Dynasty Warriors. Just to wait for him, he would understand. And I would understand. At least, I thought I did. If only he just told me earlier. On one particular night, I thought I heard something. Some animal broke into the garage again. Damn raccoon, I thought. Instead, I found Eddie. I saw him in the garage, crying. He was curled up like a scared kid in one corner. I switched the lights and gasped. I froze my blood, everything. Just standing there in a nightmare. My God, I thought I was in a high-quality scary movie. The blood splatters on the floor, the smell of death, or some kind of animal. Eddie, I remember saying. Eddie. Eddie's cries hushed. Hubby, what happened? Despite my initial shock, I approached him. Maybe he got attacked by a wild animal and managed to fend it off and got hurt doing so. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, as a wife should check on her husband sometimes, right? As I stepped closer, Eddie said something. Babe, don't come any closer. Just let me make sure you're okay. He said, no, don't. I stopped. Now I think about, I should have listened. It was at that moment his eyes, just his eyes were different. Different as in creepy different, you know? You flash your light at that annoying raccoon at night, and it looks at you with glowing eyes. Those kind of eyes. I began to back away, back to the door. I thought I was having a nightmare, or a night terror, sleep paralysis, something. It felt real, so real, and it was. My heart was racing. My skin had goosebumps. My sweet husband. Is this a secret? A dark secret he tried to hide from me? Slowly, Eddie approached me. His face more like a wolf's. His skin grew thick black fur. But for some reason, he didn't attack me. Forget that. I punched the wolf thing, ran for it until the cops arrived because of the nosy neighbor.